Hello again. This is Dr. Dennis Edogun, and this is the phase two of the enterprise risk management for small businesses. We started the phase one, but because of the length of the presentation, I broke it into two. Now, let's look at how to the practical implementation of either or a combo of the two risk management frameworks. So here we will be moving from theory to practice. And this is a step-by-step guidance to implement enterprise risk management in your small businesses. Follow me, guys. Let's go. Small businesses can implement ISO 31000 effectively by following these practical steps. First, we must secure leadership commitment. Like I said at the introduction, without leadership commitment, it's almost impossible to be successful in managing your risk, because the resources that you need will come from the approval for the resources that you need must come from leadership. So you must ensure top management understands and supports risk management initiatives, where best practice is schedule a brief presentation showing how ARM directly affects the bottom line of the company. The bottom line of the company is usually the profit. Every organization is set up to make profit, decent profit. And without proper management of risk, that may be an illusion. The second step is to assess your context. You must understand your business environment. Every business, operates within two different environments, two different but interconnected environments: the internal environment and the external environment. So you must assess your context. You must understand your business environment internally and externally, and you must understand your stakeholders. As sometimes government regulatory agency may be your stakeholders too. And you must, and look at the existing processes that you already have and identify what needs to be changed and how to accommodate your new process for risk management. I will not forget, never, never ignore the people. From the conceptual stage of the design of this process, you must ensure you carry everybody along. Then define your risk criteria. You must establish what level of risk is acceptable for your business and what level of risk is not acceptable. Step number 4, you must implement risk assessment process. At the beginning, during the introduction, I said risk assessment encompasses 3 major process steps: identification of risk, leading to the creation of a risk register, and analysis of risk. Because each of the risks you've listed in your register will not have equal impact in your ability to meet your goals. Then you evaluate them systematically using some mathematical system so that you can quantify the magnitude and the likelihood, because risk is a function of the probability, which is likelihood, and the impact. Best practices start with your top 5 to 10 risks rather than trying to address all of the risk at the same time. So when you look at all the risks you've listed, do a little, what's the probability of this happening? If it happened, what's the impact? Based on that little analysis, you can focus and prioritize on some specific risks that have higher weight or higher ability to derail the achievement of your goals. Then develop risk treatment plans. Risk evaluation or risk analysis is like going to the hospital for diagnosis. When a diagnosis is complete, the doctor will usually prescribe medications or treatment or different procedures based on the result of the evaluation. Set quarterly review meetings to track progress and adjust as needed. Depending on where you are in your risk management journey, the quarterly review could be monthly review at the beginning to ensure the creation of that risk aware culture for everybody. So for the COSO framework, I have also listed here some process tests that must be followed. And we say here that implementing COSO ERM for small businesses require practical scaled approach focused on the 5 key components. The 5 key components, the first one is controlled environment, risk assessment, control activities, information and communication, and monitoring activities. So first, we look at the key pillars: governance and culture. You must ensure you establish clear oversight responsibilities. Define operating structures appropriate for the size of your company and demonstrate commitment to integrity and ethical values. Without integrity, success is almost impossible because people won't trust you. As a leader, you must lead by example. Then you ensure you create a strategy and objectives. Objective setting is so important because you can't do everything all at the same time. So you must set some goals. You must define your risk appetite in simple terms. You must analyze your business environmental factors relevant to your market or to the kind of business that you do, and align strategic planning with risk considerations. Then performance. You must conduct focused risk identification workshops aimed at creating the risk aware culture that is fundamental to success in managing risk. You must prioritize risk based on impact to your specific business and develop practical risk responses with the limited resources at your disposal. This is very, very important. As time progresses, you must review and revise. So you implement simple monitoring processes to assess substantial changes in risk, review performance metrics monthly or quarterly as appropriate, and refine your approaches based on actual results. Based on actual results, you are able to learn valuable lessons from there and use that lesson to improve the process. Then information, communication, and reporting. Depending on the industry you are, the compliance risk is huge if proper reporting protocols are not implemented. So based on that, you must ensure there's free flow of information, there's communication across board to all stakeholders, and the mandated reports are written. Some are daily, some may be weekly, some may be monthly, some may be quarterly, some may be every year, as the case may be, depending on the industry. So here I present some case studies across different industries where different organizations have implemented either or a combination of this. A regional manufacturing company with just 50 employees adopted the ISO 31000 framework, started with simple risk register, focus on supply chain risk. Guess what? The result. They reduced production disruptions by about 35% through supplier diversification strategies. You can see how beautiful it is to be risk, to manage risk. The second case study is a family-owned retail business with 25 employees. They adapted the COSO ERM simplified approach, quarterly risk assessment meetings with department managers. I tell you what, the result? The weather market disruption during pandemic by identifying alternative revenue streams early. The third case study has to do with a professional service firm with just 15 employees. They utilize a hybrid of the ISO 31000 and the COSO ERM framework. What was the approach? They integrated risk thinking into strategic planning processes. Result? Successfully expanded service offerings with calculated risk taking, growing revenue by about 22%. 22% revenue growth for a small size company with 15 employees is huge. Ladies and gentlemen, the key lesson is successful small businesses didn't implement the entire framework at once. They started with the most critical risk to their specific business model and gradually expand their ERM practices. This is the way it should be. So you start from somewhere, build on your successes as you progress. In any case, there are some obvious challenges that must be borne in mind. And I also provide tools and action steps. Let's take the first one. Common challenge, limited resources, time, staff, budget, etc. Practical tools and templates. Risk register template. You create a risk register. It helps you to track, assess, and monitor your business risk systematically. Actionable next step, start small. Begin with your most critical business process. 2. Securing leadership commitment. You must ensure that your risk management metrics, you evaluate the likelihood and impact visually so that you can communicate the result, you can make the result visible, as it were, to your leadership so that you can get their commitment and support. Action step or next step, assign ownership. Designate a risk champion with clear responsibilities. Number 3, maintaining momentum after initial implementation. This is a very common mistake most organizations make. After the initial successes, some people may relax or rest in their laurels and lose focus. But you must ensure that your ERM implementation has a checklist, a step-by-step guide customized for your small businesses. Then you must integrate and embed risk discussion into regular meetings. In my previous life, in oil and gas many years ago, where I worked at sea with a team of over 120 personnel, every non-routine operation or task must first and foremost have an approved permit to work. The beauty of the permit to work is to ensure that everybody across the board and other related departments and functions are aware of what goes on there. Two, when the supervisor or the lead technician who is going to carry out that non-routine activity gets to the field, he and his team at that level will carry out what we used to call a two-bus talk. A two-bus talk encompasses the review of the procedure and the identification of the precautions to be taken if anything goes wrong. So he reviews that with his team at the work site and ensures that everybody understands what's going on and everybody's signature for accountability's sake is penned down. With their signature penned down, it shows they understood what their responsibilities are and they go about their business safely. So the first step is integration with existing processes. You must ensure there's a step-by-step guide customized for the size of your business. You must have that document. Use simplified templates that work for your business. The fifth and final challenge is quantifying and prioritizing risk effectively. And the practical tools and template is, document and track your mitigation strategies. So you're not only just documenting your risk in your risk register, as you implement your processes, you must also document them. Then quarterly review, you schedule quarterly reviews to maintain momentum and celebrate your success as well. Even just a pat on the back for your team is enough to motivate and strengthen the bond between both you. Again, thank you very much. This has been a long class, a long lecture, but I hope there are tools and techniques you can borrow from this to improve your small businesses. I will see you again next week. Stay safe and become risk aware so that you can become a successful professional of your own. God bless you guys. Bye bye.